Why was Ethiopia uncolonized? Ethiopia was one of the African countries which was not colonized. Let us know why. Ethiopia has a long history of more than 3,000 years. It became a Christian country in the 4th century A.D. In the past, each of its province was ruled by a king, Ras. Above all those kings was Kings of Kings, Negus Negust, who is usually called the Emperor. Before well-known Emperor Haile Selassie, there were 266 emperors. One of the most powerful emperor was Tewodros, who ruled from 1855 to 1868. Let's divine into the story of the King Menelik II, who was the king at that time of colonization. Menelik II became Emperor of Ethiopia in 1889 after Tewodros. After taking the leadership, a great drought killed most of the animals, and a big famine which killed many people. He persuaded his people not to be discouraged, but to work hard in growing new crops. His queen Tetu was a great help to him. Gradually, there was no more hunger in the country. After that, a new problem began. The Italians want to colonize them. They began moving into the country gradually, especially from the part of Massawa on the Red Sea. They moved inland until they reached Asmara. Italians even began to cultivate the land and build forts. Soon they reached the town of Adowa. Menelik II understood the Italians' plans and therefore decided to fight them. Luckily, other Europeans began straight away to contact Ethiopia. Russian ambassadors soon arrived. Menelik welcomed them, and Ethiopia, in its turn, sent ambassadors to Russia. Menelik began to import large quantities of firearms and ammunition obtained from Russia and France. By the time he decided to attack Italians, he already received 40 cannons and 100,000 rifles. When Italians captured Cabrahila town, Menelik assembled the army and beat the drums announcing war against the Italians. He prayed to God for victory and told his people not to let him down. He gave orders to all provincial kings on how to do in their areas. They succeeded in forcing the Italians to withdraw back to Adowa. Italians respond back later by a surprise attack, after learned that some Menelik soldiers had been sent by him to different parts of the country to do various jobs. A great battle began March 1896 at Adowa. Firing began at 11 o'clock at night. The fight was heavy. By dawn, the air was full of gun smoke, and many people had died on both sides. Menelik personally followed his army at Adowa, riding on his mule. He urged the remaining soldiers not to worry about those who fell in the battle, but to fight on and save the throne of Ethiopia. Menelik then returned to the palace. The remaining soldiers took the guns and ammunition of the wounded and the dead and marched to fighting fiercely. He then come back, arrived at the battlefield, followed by the head of Christian Church of Ethiopia, Archbishop Matewos, accompanied by many priests. They carried a picture of Mary, the mother of Jesus, as well as the Ethiopia flag. Even the Queen Tetu and her daughter Zaiditu and their lady servant following, praying. The fight was fierce. Queen Tetu argued the soldiers not to give in. The soldiers were encouraged by her words and shamed by her bravery in moving to the battlefront. They fired so heavily the Italians began to go back. The archbishop led prayers as the statue of Mary was raised high. The battle went on for many hours, but by the 5th hour of the following night, the Ethiopian soldiers had succeeded in complete defeating the Italians. Italians become disorder and began to run for their lives. The Ethiopian soldiers took many of them captives. Thus, Ethiopia remained independent, though many Ethiopians died fighting at the Battle of Adowa. When Menelik returned to Addis Ababa. He received a great welcome from his people for his leadership. The priests led prayers in all the churches, and people flocked there in order to thank God. That's how Emperor Menelik, too, bravely prevented the Italians from invading his country. Menelik died in 1913 after bringing much progress to Ethiopia. That closed our curtains for the exclusive story of how Ethiopia became uncolonized. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for more historic stories. Remember, we're giving out gifts every week for our new subscribers, so don't be left out as you help us grow. Thanks for watching till next time.